Okay, all right. Thank you, everyone. First of all, we're just excited to start practice today. We had our team meeting last night, and you could just really feel the excitement of our players. Very proud of our players and our staff and the way they've handled themselves through this whole time off. During the spring, operating with our players off. Back home and our coaches working through Zoom, and then once they got back on campus, the way they handled themselves through all the ups and downs, of the summer to get to this point. There's a lot of excitement around our building. Everybody's ready to get started. We will practice this week Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We will take off Friday, and we'll scrimmage on Saturday. Next week, we'll start getting in a routine, and we'll have a 5-week routine. We're going to practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, off Friday, and then scrimmage on Saturday. So that's going to be our routine for 5 weeks, which I think is really good. We will be doing more 11 on 11. We'll be doing more scrimmage reps than we've ever done before in fall camp, with the fact of not going through spring, evaluating our players. I mean, we need to see what the guys can do right now, who needs more work. We need to create depth. That's really going to be a factor, not just for us, but everybody around college football is creating depth. And you'll hear me talking a whole lot about 3 deep when usually you're talking about 2 deep. So just a new day as far as that's concerned, but at the same time, great opportunities for our young guys. And, I really believe the team with the most depth could have a big advantage, and that's really what we've been talking to with our players. Want to give you update on our COVID testing that we've done throughout this summer. We brought our guys back June 4th. We've tested our players 863 times, which is a little bit more than 7 times per player. We've had 33 positives over the course of the summer. We tested our staff over 5 times apiece. We've had 1 coach test positive. That was earlier in the summer. We're using the gold standard test, the test that they actually stick it way up your nose and the saliva. So I really appreciate our administration with the amount of testing they've allowed us to do, and with the best testing out there available for us with that. We did test our team last week. Got some very good news. We had 0 positives. We tested our team and staff, so that gives us a lot of confidence going in to fall camp today and getting started. We will have 4 players that will not start with us. They're still going through their protocols, but they will be back with us by the end of the week. Oscar Chapman, our Australian punter, he has arrived in the States on Saturday, and he is going through acclimation period right now, and we expect him to be back with us in the next week and a half, or get with us in the next week and a half. So, like I said, I think overall you could just really see the excitement on our players, and you can tell that the coaches too. It's been a long time coming, and we're excited to get out there with our players today and start practice. All right, any questions?
Gus, you talked about depth. How much was that a priority and a focus when you're talking to your coaches, when you're talking to your team, and how different is that, especially for like an offensive line where you don't normally play many of those guys? You have to treat the offensive line very different this year because you might need more guys than normal.
You're exactly right. Normally we go into just offensive line, for example. If you got 3 tackles and 3 guards and 2 centers, I mean, you feel pretty good. It's completely different now. And we've got to get our 3s ready. And so with that, strategically, the way we're going to set up practice these next 5 weeks are for more reps, and we're going to get creative. And there's going to be times that we're going to have 2 separate fields going, okay, just to evaluate our player. Let them guys get more reps than they normally would, so we can evaluate them and get them ready to play. And at the same time, you got to be thinking about the coaches too. If you have a coach go down, you've got to have 2 play callers. You've got to have an assistant for an assistant. So, we'll be thinking about all those things in fall camp, and just getting us prepared. And, it's all going to be about being flexible. I mean, the teams that can overcome adversity and be flexible, and I think they're going to have a big advantage.
Our next question is from Phil Marshall.
All right, Philip, are you on there?
If you can unmute yourself, please.
All right, can you hear me now?
All right, there's Philip. Yep, the technology. There we go.
It's almost too much for me, guys.
Me too.
Could you just, the last 5 months, how that, if it has it changed your approach? It just changed the way you look at things, having gone through what all of you going through?
Yeah, it's been a definite, Philip, it's been a definite learning experience for everyone. It's the communication, just between our coaches to coach, our player to coach. We've got really good relationships. I think it's really brought us closer together. It has been interesting, and that's kind of what I was saying. Like, it's finally good to go out there and actually start practice, and that's what players love to do. That's what coaches love to do, and so that's really why there's a lot of excitement, because we're finally up to this point. That's what I told our team, yesterday at the very first of the meeting. I told them, guys, think back at the last 5 months and everything that we've done, and we're finally here, and we're finally getting ready to start football, and there was a lot of smiles on their face when we talked about that.
Next question is from Tom Green. Tom, if you could unmute your line.
Hey Gus, I know Chandler and Trayvon both said they plan on opting out this season. Have any other players discussed with you opting out or the possibility of it?
Not up to this point. They're the only two, and we definitely honor that. We respect that, and that was their decisions. But no, and if somebody else does, we'll feel the same way. But I've not been approached by anybody at this time.
Our next question is from Gianna Hahn.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, sorry, I'm driving.
You're driving down the road.
Yep, I'm driving back to Auburn, so might have been a little on my way through there. But the last time we spoke, we talked about listening to your players as far as the match and everything that was going on in the country. And since then, the NCAA has made some moves to allow players to express themselves a little bit more. I was wondering, how do you balance letting players express themselves with any conflicting messages they might want to promote with big pictures for your program?
Yeah, we're our players having a voice, and a lot of them have up to this point, and being unified as one, and that's really what we plan on doing, and that's been our approach. We've got some great leadership, and our administration supports that also.
Next question comes from Josh Vitale.
Obviously, last week was pretty insane, I guess, with all the news of certain conferences canceling football seasons. Obviously, SEC hasn't, as a football coach, when you see the Big Ten and the Pac-12 saying we're not playing football this year, what goes through your mind, and what do you talk to your team about with all the uncertainty going on?
Yeah, the thing about it, we've been talking probably for about 5 to 6 weeks about just controlling what we can control and not getting caught up with the ups and downs and everything that's going on outside. And so that's the way we've taken it, day by day and week by week. And we're just concerned about us. And as of right now, we're getting ready for the season. And that's our mindset. We can't get distracted. The teams that don't get distracted with all this stuff is going to have an advantage, and that's been one of the things that we've been really working hard on. What are the advantages that we're going to have? And not being distracted is one of them, and our guys have done a good job with that. Control what we control, and like I said, we're getting ready to play, and that's our mindset.
Gus, we're in unprecedented territory with the schedule. You're going to find out
Yeah, this is a year about adjusting. The teams that adjust, and like I said, they're going to have an advantage. So, hey, it is what it is. We're going to figure out who we play the very first game later today. And our coaches will start working extremely hard, as far as that goes, and behind the scenes, and on off days, and just get prepared. And like I said, usually you go into the season and you've got the first three opponents broke down. So we'll be playing catch up, really fast, along with everybody in our conference in the next few weeks. Are you still in Montgomery? Okay. Yes.
The next question is from Mark Murphy.
Guys, with no football camp this year, with the 2 days and whatever, no spring practice, how big adjustment is that going to be for your team to get ready for the season? And also, has it impacted your ability to build team camaraderie? Because I know you normally do a lot of team building stuff early on.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge for everybody, and I've just told our staff, we're going to be very creative, unconventional, unique. Of course, I've had the opportunity to be a high school coach at 3 different levels and a head coach at 2 different levels, so, I think that's right down my alley as far as, being unique and being able to adjust. So we feel really good about our plan, the way that we're going to go about it, like I talked about earlier, as far as evaluating our guys, developing depth, not just with players, but as coaches. I think that's a real thing that we have to be prepared for. And so we're setting up practice different than we've ever done. And so I'm excited about it. I think our players are. And the goal is to get more information in a faster period of time than we normally do. This isn't a time for traditional, okay? I really believe the teams that can be flexible, they'll have a chance to separate themselves.
The next question is from Brian Matthews.
Hi, Gus. Thank you for having us on here. Two-part question. What's the status of Austin Trox and Kenan Zaire? And what players are you looking at left tackle position? Could you sort of name the players you reached out to?
Yeah, that's 2 of them right there, and then Jackson, Alec Jackson. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like, we have an idea, like the first 5 that are going out there. That has 0 to do with who we think starting. I mean, we've got a handful of guys, and I'd say multiple guys, 10 to 12, that I really feel like are truly fighting for starting spots up front. And, I know Coach Bicknell and Coach Morris are very open-minded. I've tried not to give them any kind of preconceived thoughts in the past about this and that. And let's let whoever is ready to play. And like I said, the big factor is developing depth. And the old days of 3 tackles and 3 guards and 2 centers, that's a day of the past as far as we're concerned. But that gives other people real opportunities. And my experience is when you give people real opportunities, you get a few that really seize the moment. So that's really been our message to our players up front.
Are Trox and Zaire, are they 100% ready to go?
I think they're real close. I know Trox, he's ready to go. Killian, talking to him the other day, he thought he was getting really close to 100% too, and been cleared medically. So that's good.
Next question comes from Nathan King.
Hey, Gus. Hey, within the past few days, guys like Anthony Schwartz and Cam Stutz have been kind of vocal, talking about just maybe a little bit of frustration on campus, seeing other students not wearing masks, not adhering to protocols. What have your conversations kind of been like with your team recently about staying the course and doing everything that they can control as it relates to protocols on campus as students come back this week?
Yeah, the thing about our team is they've done a lot this summer. They've done a lot of sacrifice, and we've learned through the process. I mean, there was a time in midsummer where we had quite a few of those 33 positives, and our team just came together and started being accountable to each other. When we're outside this building, we've done a really good job inside the building, but when we go outside this building, we've got to be responsible. I mean, we've been preaching to our guys about masks, social distance. Your circle's got to be very small who you're with, and our guys have done a super job with that. And I think because of the sacrifice that they've done to get here, and these guys want to play, and just, hey, students, you're in it with us. and we need your help. But wear your mask, social distance, be responsible. So I think that's really where that's coming from with those guys. I know there's some other players that have expressed concern, and we knew that this is going to be a telling time right now with all the students coming back to campus. And what we've just told our guys is, let's control us. Most of our classes are going to be online, for our players, and so we're just doing everything we can to really stay self-isolated to protect our players so we have a good chance of playing the season.
Next question is from Jeff Spiegel.
That's how you doing?
Hey, good, Jeff.
While having this, I'm watching the Auburn game on the SEC network right now, and can't help but think about how much different our world is than a year ago. How much, and you've always appreciated the game of football, how much more do you appreciate now?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and definitely appreciate what we have. Appreciate being able to coach the players we have and being around the players, and that's what's fun for coaches is to coach the players on the field and put a plan together, have a dream together, and try to achieve that dream and that plan. And so that's what we love to do. And so the appreciation level is very high. And you're exactly right. You go through adversity, which we all have done, and you get to this point, you have a way of looking back and appreciating things even more than you used to.
And a follow-up from Tom Green.
Hey Gus, I wanted to ask you about Kalen Newton. Obviously, you have a long-standing relationship with his whole family. But what was the discussion like when you were bringing him over to Auburn, and what do you kind of see his role being now that he's here?
Well, the thing about Kalen, you got to look at his career before he got here at Howard and what he did. I mean, he was a record-setting quarterback at Howard and leading that team. I think they had the biggest upset in the history of college football when they went to UNLV. So got a lot of winter in him. And like you said, we've known each other a long time. So when he decided to be a grad transfer, I just tried to, encourage him to come here, be a part, and help us win. And he has a lot of intangibles. He's a real smart guy. He's been a quarterback. He's a leader. I think he's going to have a chance to help us in a lot of different ways, not just at wide receiver, but some other ways too.
And a follow-up from Josh.
We've seen obviously players from other conferences kind of band together and give their conferences list of demands or questions. When you see that stuff, how often do you and your staff engage your players to see what questions they have, what concerns they have about whether it be COVID-19 procedures or all that stuff?
What we've tried to do is be honest and transparent and open with our players, with their parents, open communication, and that's the way we went about it. And I'd like to think that our players would say that. And like I said, we've got great relationships with our players, and I think that's very important.
And a follow-up from Philip Marshall.
Okay, it's technology, okay? Too much more. Gus, kind of along the same lines of what I was asking about before. Actually, I got two unrelated quick questions. One is just the time without football, from a personal standpoint. How did it kind of change you, if at all? And two, could you talk about Roger McCreary, who was not that highly rated recruit, and now seems to be on the verge of doing some special things?
Yeah, one thing when we first started, I guess right after spring break when everything was shut down, I really challenged our staff and challenged our players to really reflect and look at themselves. I know for me personally, and for 30 years, the very first time that my world even slowed down, it was extremely good for me to kind of reflect through the course of my whole career, and really what helped me get here and what the characteristics were, and just the appreciation of all the players that I've coached and all the coaches I've coached with that have helped me along this journey. It was really good for me to reflect and I just want to be, first of all, a better person, all right, now that we've had this time, and then secondly, a better coach and a better leader. And so it was really good for me, very inspiring, eye-opening in some ways. And another thing, too, sometimes you kind of get back to who you are, at your core and what's important to you and really what's not. And that was really the way I looked at it. And I'm extremely excited to get back out there with our players after this time. And then, of course, Roger McCreary's a guy that, we knew, first of all, was a good person, and we knew he could run. And so, he's really done a good job of each year getting better. We're going to ask a lot of him this year and really ask him to even take that next step of raising his game to the next level.
We had a question from Jay in Montgomery.
Hey, this is Jay Montgomery, guys. I got just a couple quick ones. Grant Lloyd, tell me what you got expecting from him and how you got involved with him, and also Mark Anthony Richards, just kind of an update on him.
Yeah, so Grant is a guy that Coach Morris and the staff at Arkansas started recruiting, had a relationship with, and we just felt like we needed some experience at the quarterback position, and he's got the flexibility to do some other things, as far as H-back or even, help on special teams. So he's off to a really good start, and I know his teammates have been very impressed with him since he's been here. And you said Mark Anthony Richards. The thing that I'm excited about Mark is I really feel like he's healthier. And last year, he had the tough injury and never was able to show what he could do. So I know he's really looking forward to camp and being healthy.
Next question comes from Ryan Matthews.
Hey, Coach, just wanted to ask how you would feel about playing the Iron Bowl week 1 or week 2 if that's what happened. How would that seem?
Yeah, I think you got to have an open mind and you got to be flexible, and it is what it is. No matter who you play the first game or whatever, we can't control that. Control what you can control, and whoever you play, there's 10 SEC games. I do know that. Me personally, I think that gives us an advantage. That's what I told our team. You look at the schedule that we've played since we've been here since 2013, and I would put it up against anyone. And the thing I can tell you is adding 2 extra games won't be a shock to our system. Like I said, I think we've had the toughest schedule since 2013. So we're really looking at that as an advantage. And some teams that have not had as tough a schedule, I think it's going to be a little bit more challenging for them. Just the grind, because I don't think everybody really understands the grind of our league, and unless you're in it, and just week in and week out. And you can even look at some of the teams you may not think are the best. They're still a handful. You look at 2013, we were picked dead last in the whole SEC, and we won the SEC. So, just the grind of everything that goes with it, I really feel like we can have an advantage because of the schedule. And then some of the teams that hadn't had a tougher schedule, I think they may have their hands full.
Next question comes from Rick Beach.
Hey, Coach, I was wondering with the advantage that Jared Harris seems to have at home field, has there been any talk on restrictions that the SEC may give on pipe in noise?
I'm going to be honest with you. I've not even got that far. I do hope that later this week, we can let everybody know how many people can actually come in the stadium and all that. But I've not gotten that far. I'm just kind of taking it day by day and week to week. As we get closer to the season, I know there'll be more discussions along those lines, because you're exactly right. I feel like we have the best home field advantage there is, and not having that thing full is definitely concerning.
Next question is from Mark Murphy.
Guys, is this a season that newcomers, both on offense and defense, are going to have a really great opportunity to play more than a normal season?
100%. And like I said at the very first, I think realistically, as coaches, we have to have our mindset that we may be playing our number 3 guy at a certain position, and that's just the way it is. And so what we got to do is, what do we have, 5.5 weeks or whatever, to get those guys prepared to do that. And how do you get prepared? You get prepared through reps. So like I said, it's more unconventional than it's ever been. And, we've got to get those guys as good as they possibly can be. And, that ought to be real exciting for all of our guys, that they have a real chance to help. And they have to have the mindset that it's next man up. I'm ready to go. If I got thrown in week 1 and I was the number 3 guy on the depth chart, or even start, I mean, there's no telling, the different scenarios that we're going to face throughout the year with all the challenges we're going to have.
Time for 2 or 3 more. Next one is a follow from Tom Green.
Hey, Gus, you mentioned the importance of depth just a second ago, but with the additions that you brought to that QB room this year, with the experience that Bramble and Caleb Newton bring, plus having Bo and Cord, Cheyenne there, do you feel this is the deepest quarterback room you've had since you've been at Auburn? And at the kind of unique circumstances of this season, do you think that is kind of an advantage for you guys?
Well, I think as far as numbers, I think this probably is the deepest, okay? But as far as experience, I'd say we probably had some other years that we had more experience, quality depth coming back. But, the good thing is we got 5.5 weeks, I guess, before we play, and just give those guys the reps they need. And then Chad's just going to have to figure out, past Bo, what other guys can do at this point and what they can't. And that's what he's good at, especially being a former high school coach. So, I know he's looking forward to evaluating those guys and seeing what they can do.
Next question is from Steve Ball.
Is Steve hanging out with Phillip right now?
Can you unmute your line, please? While you're doing that, let's go to Brian Matthews.
Hey, Coach, just wanted to ask about the extended OTA, or whatever you want to call it, period y'all had. How much did that help you guys, especially on the offense, and how much would you say for both ends?
Can you say that one more time? Can you say that one more time?
Yes, the extended period y'all had, I guess you call them OTAs, the workouts y'all were able to do. How much was Bo Nix able to pick up the offense, and how much do you think he knows Jack Morris's scheme?
Yeah, if you're talking about the walkthroughs, I think there's only, walkthrough's a walkthrough. So, I think you can get lined up, you can coach somebody up, you can talk about all the what ifs, but there's nothing like the real thing. And I think our guys in the next 2 days, even with helmet only, will probably learn more the next 2 days than they did the whole time during walkthrough. So I am glad that we had the walkthrough. I think every coach would say that. At least you get a chance to be out there with your players, and it's a new system. Even though there's a lot of similarities, new terminology, and all the nuances that are different. It was good for them in the walkthroughs.
All right, we'll conclude today with one last question from Mark Murphy. Mark?
Yeah, Gus, I know Chris Davis spoke to the team. If you had anybody else do motivational type speaking, is anybody else playing?
Yeah, we had Nosa Igwe speak to our team this past week. Sammy Coates, he spoke to our team. Wes Byram, just really wanted to get some former guys off the 2010, 2013, and just talk about the characteristics of those teams, that were able to win a championship here at Auburn, because we're different. We're different than other schools. And I just really wanted our players to hear from those guys about what they felt like was important to success. And we've got a group of players that I think are hungry, and they were attentive, they were listening, they were asking them specific questions, and just trying to get any wisdom from them as they could. And so it was real encouraging. Those guys did a super job. Obviously, Chris talked to our team last night and just did a great job, and our players were very excited about it.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Thank you.